How much does it cost to convert a van into a camper van? This is my Ford Transit custom conversion. Now, I'm going to let you into a little secret. It didn't always look like this. Now, I've converted this myself. I haven't done this on a budget, but there has been areas where I have sort of tried to save a little bit of money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a full cost of everything and all items I've purchased for this van in order to get it to the state that it's in. Now, I'm happy with how it is. There is a couple of things that I might still change, but as it is now, it is a fully functioning camper van. Electric, water, everything. Everything in this van I'm going to go through. Now, I haven't told the wife how much this costs yet, so please shh, keep this a secret. Now let's get into this video and let's find out how much this cost. We're in the van and I just want to take this opportunity, guys, to say if you are not subscribed, why don't you get subscribed? If this is your thing and you like to go out on adventures in your van and how to build the van, in fact, I've got a full playlist on exactly how I did all this. Jump on the channel, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and well, hit that bell notification and you'll find out every time we go somewhere. So the way I'm going to run this video is I'm going to run through each episode from the playlist, talking about the materials that I used and the cost, simply giving a total at the end of each episode and then giving a grand total at the end. Drum roll please. Will it be expensive or will it be budget? Who knows, because even I don't know. Let's go. So bear with me, guys, I've got my paperwork, I've wrote it all down. Let's get some totals. Now, the first episode was the stripping out of the vehicle. Now, we know that didn't really cost anything. It just took a few hours, strip it out and clean it. Episode 2 was soundproofing and insulating. And in that episode, the materials I used were Dodo fleece thermal insulation. I also used the Dodo van liner, which is like a sound deadening and insulation. And I also used Dead Easy matte soundproofing mats. I used 20 meters of the thermo fleece. I originally bought 10, but I had to get some more because, well, there wasn't enough. I used 10 meters of liner, which was more than enough, and I got a box of 40 sheets of the Dead Easy sound deadening mats, which I probably used 2/3 of. I also got aluminium tape. I got a rubber roller for rolling on the liner in the areas that I couldn't reach, which were down in the crevices. I also got a zinc primer for all the areas of metal that had been rubbed off and back to the original metal, so I need to spray it to treat it so it didn't get rusty in time to come. Now, the grand total for that was £280.43. Episode 3 was basically building the timber frame in order to put the ply floor on. Now, to get that, all I bought was 32mm by 32mm lengths of timber. I also bought some adhesive and I also bought some screws, which were self-tapping. Now, the total cost of that was £65.03. Episode 4 is all about when I installed the windows. Now, I do have a little bit of a confession to make. The windows did leak. Now, they would fit all right. They stuck on fine. They didn't fall off, but I did have a slight leak. So I was basically had the option of either taking them off myself or getting somebody else to come in and refit them. So I chose to bring someone in to refit them. Now, that did cost me an extra £150. Now, the windows I went for were the fixed window and a sliding window. These windows were from Caravans. Anything that's on this video, you can go into the playlist and you can see how much stuff cost on an individual basis. This video is just literally to explain how much stuff cost on a total, and obviously giving you the exact price or as close as to what the whole van build was. So the total cost for 2 windows, which come as a pack, and then obviously to have them refitted, which was an extra £150, as well as some suction pads, which I didn't even use to put the windows in. The total of that was £492.38. Episodes 6 and 7 were all about carpet lining. We carpet lined all the panels, we carpet lined all the inside of the internal walls, we did the sliding doors, we did the rear doors, there's trim round the edges, there's adhesive that I had to buy, and all that came in at a whopping £199.35. At the end of episode 7, I also put the lino floor in. Now, I got that for 40 quid. Steel. You will know that in episode 8 I went to Gemini Campers, in which I got all the furniture. Now, I say that all the furniture, it's just the wooden frame and it was already built for me. Now, I'm happy that I did this because this was one area where I felt that, okay, I could have saved money doing it myself, but would I have done it as well? Probably not. Now that was already built. All I did was drop it in the van, screw it in, job's a good un. And that come in at £599. There was an option to go for the cushions, but we're going to come in at another £600. Me and Sandra decided no, as we knew that my wife could make cushions that were probably going to be better. And as you well know, she did. As you can see, absolutely fantastic cushions, which I believe would have been a hell of a lot better than what any other place would have done. We're using better material and also thicker sponge. But we'll get to that price when we get there. Episode 9 was one of those ones where I thought, do I really need this? I'm not too sure. It was the fan. And I am glad we got it, because believe you me, this thing comes in use. Now this thing was not one of the most expensive, but it certainly wasn't one of the cheapest. But I did do a lot of research into making sure I got a decent one with lots of good reviews. And that came in at £159. But trust me, do not scrimp on this. You need one of these. The wife's just come, so I've got to be quiet about these figures because we don't want it to kick off. Well, here she is.
No sparks, no kick-offs,
Yeah.
just yet.
Episode 10 was all about solar panels. I'm going to give you the cost of the solar panels, but not necessarily the wires, as I'm putting that all in as a one big bundle as electrical equipment. But the solar panels and the DC to DC charger. So I have 200 watts on the roof. And down the bottom in the boot area, I've got a DC to DC charger with a Bluetooth monitor, so I can monitor exactly how much energy I'm being used and how much I've got. All this did come in at a whopping £432.93. But trust me, if you're going off grid, it's worth every penny. What do you think, Sandra?
Come on, keep going with the figures.
She doesn't know how much it all costs yet. Episode 11, the cladding. £35. Nice. Episode 12, Chinese diesel eater. Now when I got this, I also got a CO2 monitor to make sure that we wasn't poisoning ourselves. I also got a 60mm turret plate so I could fit it through the floor and through the bottom of the vehicle, seal that up, and nothing's coming through. One mistake I did make when installing this, I kinked the fuel line. Now when it comes to using it, eventually that fuel line where it kinked, it did split, so I have replaced that, and I've also put that in on the costs. And all that coming at £114.98. Episode 13 is all about the sink. So we got the sink, which is just an RV sink with a cold and a hot tap feed. I only run the cold, which I also got two 25-litre containers and a normal 12-volt submersive pump and some tubes to go to and from the containers. And that all came in at £209.56. Episodes 14 and 15 were the cushions, and it was Sandra Dean that made them. Now you can see the quality of these. As I've said before on one of the previous episodes where we got the furniture, they wanted £600 just for the cushions alone. Now we also looked around other sites and we saw they wanted 600, 650. They're all pretty much the same sort of price. Now Sandra has this very good skill set and she knows how to do this stuff, so lucky me. Lucky the van, I guess. So all these cushions were obviously handmade, hand stitched. That's the foam, the wadding, the accessories, the zips. But not only that, what we also managed to do was make the curtains out the same material, therefore saving more money. Again, because obviously we put all that into this same category. That all come in at a total of £369.92. And that was practically cut in half, but also added on the curtains as well. Can I go wrong for that?
Can't complain.
No, she's a good egg, isn't she? Definitely saved us some cash. Now the one episode that I didn't do, or I didn't show you how I did, was the electric, simply because I didn't feel I knew enough to be, I'd given advice on that. And you know, it's a certain particular skill set. So I was literally back and forth from a diagram like this, making sure that everything's correct. And it weren't worth me trying to blag that I knew what I was doing. That being said, everything is completely safe. I do know that because I did take it into a caravan site and get someone to have a look over it after I'd done it. And he gave me the nod. Yes, that is fine. Now, I did make a few mistakes with this. I bought too much wire. I bought extra switches that I didn't use. I bought extra USB bits that I didn't use. I've still got them. I can put them in if I need, but I didn't actually use them. Now, this did come at a bit of a cost. One thing I realised is when it comes to getting the wires are not cheap. Now, this cost a penny or two because you have to get different thickness for different amps and so on and so forth. And I ended up getting a little bit too much because, well, I didn't really know what I was doing. I got circuit breakers, I got terminals, I got a 140 amp hour battery, I got solar leads, which obviously this is all in the cost from the solar that I was talking about earlier. Wire strippers, wire lugs, solder seal wire connectors. There was loads of little bits and bobs that I got, and this all come in at 516 pence. Now, again, it is a lot of money, but it is the main source of energy. Everything works as it should. I made all the safety precautions. I made sure that everything was connected correctly, and this is something that you do need to take important, because obviously it could be very dangerous if you don't get this right. So that there brings us to the grand total. Well, I say that grand total.
Put my fingers into my ears.
Now there is a grand total, but then there's also a grand total if I include the wheels and stuff. But we'll do the grand total first. So, Sandra Dean, when you kept on saying to me, how much does this all cost? And I'm like, don't worry about it, just a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, yeah. Well, it added up to a total of £3,641 37 How do you feel about that?
Well, we'll talk about it later.
Oh dear. But it doesn't end there. Now there is extras. The wheels that I bought were £1,000. A roof rack, which I bought because I was going to put the solar onto the roof rack, which I didn't end up doing, so I didn't really need a roof rack, but it does look better with the roof rack on.
We have got the plan for it.
Yes, we are going to use that for something else later down the line, which you will see in one of the videos if you continue to follow us. Also wind deflectors on the windows, also bonnet bra on the front. Oh, and also screw fix, all the little bits and bobs, the screws, the tape, the adhesive. So everything all in £4,849.70. I'm out of it. So obviously that does come in at quite a steep figure, but one thing you've got to bear in mind is once you've done this, okay, you can go anywhere around the country. You can go to this can go to Europe. We was just talking earlier about going down south. It's going to cost us about £100 to go down there and stay down there, and that's on campsites for the whole week. Now, if you didn't have this and you was going to stay in a caravan, you've got to bear in mind you're going to be paying £700-800 all in, and that's just for the stay. And then you got your spending money. We've got cooking appliances in here. We can wash for ourselves. Obviously we can do like a bit of a strip down cleaning here, but you still would go to a campsite to do that. But everything else you've got in here, we've got electric so we can be off grid, we've got solar power, we've got the fan if it gets too hot, we've got the fan if it gets too smoky or cooking in here. We've got the double bed, which is almost like a king size. We can fit 3 people in here, as you've seen on the videos. We've also got 2 dogs which you can fit in here. So listen, yeah, it does cost a penny or two to do this. I don't know whether that's cheap or expensive because this is the first one that I've done. Maybe you guys can comment in the section and you can tell me if you think that's cheap. Now, again, so £3,500, just over £3,500 if you took away the wheels and all the other little bits and bobs, which you don't need. You could do this for slightly cheaper. I didn't do this on budget. I did this to get it look nice. I wanted it to look nice, but there was areas where we did save, obviously, with the cushions and so. But to wrap that up, I don't think that's too bad, really. This van is a very low mileage van. It's good for the road, and it should hopefully take us on many adventures for a long time to come. So leave your comments below, guys. Do you think that was a lot, or do you think that was relatively cheap? If you've not liked and subscribed, make sure you subscribe, follow us, and we'll be on many adventures. As you can see, there is a couple that we've just done recently, and we have a few lined up for the rest of the year. So take it easy for now, guys, but thanks for watching. I hope this helped you. Ta-ta.